got the hammerhead right there. Okay. Transducer control board. The transducer control board is like the USB boards of everything else we have. So if you think of in balancer terms, this is a USB board, but since it's not in the balancer and it's in a alignment sensor, it's called the transducer control board because, yes, all the transducers plug into it. It's amazing. All right, so transducer control board. On the back side of it, right here, there's a little IC chip. This IC chip actually sits about 2 millimeters away from your, wow, won't do that again today. Holy cow. Your sensor shaft. And your sensor shaft, now you want to, my brainy people are going to have to help me with this. My sensor shaft has a round magnet on the end of it. So I don't understand how there's a north and a south pole to a round magnet. But this magnet sits about 2 millimeters away from that IC chip. And as the sensor rotates, that IC chip picks up the magnetic waveform that's turning and turns it into where the sensor is in actual 360, right? It's like a remote Hall effect. I guess it could be, yeah, because the Hall effect does the same thing, where it's moving. Okay, that's a Wi-Fi Hall effect. That's like a Wi-Fi drive shaft at SEMA, right, or a Bluetooth drive shaft, right? There you go. So anyway, so this thing picks up the turning, It's like a turn encoder basically. Okay. Let me have your radio board because it has a little gold on it. So the radio board, this is your radio board, and your radio board sits on top of your. The radio board has the gold in here so that the RF doesn't affect your transducer control board. That's why the gold faces down, so that the radio goes away from the transducer control board, so we don't mess up the logic on the transducer control board. You're cheating. That's just shameful. That's just shameful. Anyway, that's just shameful.
Washington guys. Yeah, like a cheater. That's what he's done so far.
So far that he got caught, right? Anyway, the radio board. The radio board is also where we store the sensor firmware. We used to put the sensor firmware on the transducer control board, but evidently we ran out of room. So now the radio board is where we store the sensor firmware. So if you ever have to replace the transducer control board, radio firmware is still good because it's on your radio board. Okay? All right.
Any particular reason why they gold plate?
The only thing I can figure about the gold plating is it bounces the radio waves away. Because we don't want the radio waves going into the transducer control board, so that because the radio waves will just mess up the logic on the transducer control board. So we're trying to isolate the transducer control board. This little cool guy here. It contains the on-off switch. Holy cow! I sound like my wife. Should have had more coffee. It has the on-off switch in it, but it also has the power receiver. This is where you power up your sensors, okay? For some reason, people who use 700 sensors, they would make poor proctologists. They don't know when to stop when they're inserting the power cord into here. And they usually break the back end of this thing off, which means then it doesn't charge because the back end of this is just laying in the sensor and they're just jamming it further and further and further and further into the sensor. I don't know what it is about. They break the back of it off for some reason. If you carry one of these, if you have one next to you, well, this is like a left and this is a right, and all we do is we take these two pieces and we reverse them. That's why there's extra holes in here, so that the actual triangle piece is universal, and then you can just swap where these go. Since we have to hand solder all of the stuff onto the back, this silly little thing here is like $60, right? It's really expensive for what it does. I think I just lost the black.
So when you order this, it comes like this.
have a.
Okay, so you got to be. Yes, it comes just like that. I knew I lost it. So when you order that, it comes built like that. And then because it is left and right specific, if you want to order a left or a right, obviously there's two different part numbers, and we put them in the correct orientation. Now, if you just wanted to keep one on your truck, you would have to just manually swap it around. Okay. Your camber caster cell, you have a middle or a rear or a front car. You have a rear. Where's your camber caster cell? You didn't take it out. Does it look the same? It looks the same. Who's got a camber caster cell that hangs over off of the board? You do. Okay, let me have this one. Thank you. I'll return it to you. All right, so there are two different kinds of camber caster cells. If you notice, the one in my left hand is a little bit longer. It sticks off of the bracket. It was bad anyway. This other one does not stick off the bracket, okay? So this one here is the same size as the bracket. This one here is a little wider than the bracket, and the plug end is on the bottom of the board, where this plug end is on the side of the board. So this is either for a car, any car, front or rear on a car. This is also used in the rear sensor, not the middle, but the rear of a truck unit, okay? The board itself, not the bracket, but the board itself, is also used as your inclinometer. So we actually use this. This is how we get your X and Y axis on your inclinometer, okay? This one's really nice and small. This one's a little bit bigger. Help me here with the... This one's a little bit bigger. I'll get to it. You just tell me where to go. All right. So if you see this little silver guy right there, okay? This little silver guy is important because of Mercedes. This is on the front and middle sensors on a truck unit. Because on a truck unit, remember, there's no toe going backward. On a truck sensor, all the toe just shoots forward to the front sensor, but we don't have like redundant toe. Like on a car, we have toe going this way and we have toe going this way, so we can double check each other. On a truck unit, we just have toe going forward. And when you steer 9.5 degrees or 10 degrees for toe, it's because we don't have that double checking thing. It wasn't good enough for Mercedes because they're Mercedes. So Mercedes made us put in a gyrometer. So that little silver guy right there is actually a gyro. Okay, and what the gyro does is the gyro can even if you're turning flat, somehow a gyro knows you're turning flat, which is mind-numbing when you really want to stop and think about it. So because it's Mercedes and because, you know, they're better than everyone else, they wanted to know exactly when they got to like 9.5 degrees and not like ish. So again, we put gyros on because in the middles, because sometimes you have twin steers, right? So sometimes the middle sensors are also a steer axle. So that way we have to have gyros on the middle too, okay? So if you see a bigger board, it just has a gyro in it. They are not they are not interchangeable. So just be careful with that. It's easy to figure it out because again, they moved the plug in to the bottom rather than to the side. Okay, this one was yours. Okay. Did anyone actually take the long toe sensor out of their front truck unit? Nope, that's a cross toe. The long's about yay long. He's got a not that. Nope. So it's going to look like. Oh, let me have your aluminum housing right there. It's going to look like this. It's this whole piece right here. Did anyone take this out? It was held in with T10 Torx screws. I know there's only two front truck sensors. Who had the other one? Is it still on the thing? Okay. So this unit right here. How am I doing, Josh? Yeah. All right. This unit here is the long toe sensor on a truck unit. It has two emitters in here again, right? One for the middle, one for the rear. It's a synchronization emitter so that the sensors in the rear they blink opposite of each other. Okay. If you order this part number in, which says it's a 109, 169, you're going to get this whole entire piece. You get the spacer, you get the toe board, you get the emitter, you get the housing, you get everything. And then all you have to do is put the T10 Torx bits back in. Do yourself a favor. These T10 Torx bits are self-tapping into aluminum. So have the world's best T10 Torx bit you can possibly buy. Otherwise, you won't strip out the screw. You're going to strip out your Torx bit. Because if you buy a cheesy Torx bit, the flutes aren't that big, and they'll just round them right off. And then this thing's sitting in there loose, and then it just flops all over the place. Yeah, you gotta get a good one. Because this thing is sitting here on the front sensor and it only has a piece of aluminum and a piece of aluminum. When you took this off, was there any gaskets on here? There wasn't. What happens on a truck unit? When they work 365, 24/7. So the trucks come in and they're dripping wet because the fenders are really big and the fenders overhang. So you get water in here and you have electronics in here. And these things have a tendency to have thermal events, which is really cool because then you can see the thermal event come out the side and you get the little purple ring, and then you're replacing long toe boards on truck units. It's just because the fenders are so big. The hammerhead. So on your hammerhead pieces here, I told you guys yesterday on the hammerhead pieces, if you notice, there's two holes here and then there's the two pieces, right? So you always want to have your lights offset away from the car. So if I was putting this on a truck unit, if the front of the truck was that way, this would be either a middle or a rear on the passenger side, because if my truck's facing that way, my tire's here, it's facing outward. Okay. These four holes in the middle are symmetrical, so you can do this, and then everything will just be. You'll have really weird readings. Does anyone have a transducer control board that's a revision E or higher? Or all you have an F. Okay, so you have extra jumpers. You do not have extra jumpers. Oh, you do have extra jumpers. Okay. Oh, but that's a 1229. I need a 13. I need a 13. So. Anyway, that's okay. Yes, that one. Ooh, what version is that?
This is T306.
No,
I just couldn't get that.
Yeah, you couldn't get the screw out. That's okay. I can see what I want to see anyway. All right. So older transducer control boards. Older transducer control boards only have 4 jumpers. The 4 jumpers tell me what position on the car or the truck I'm in. Okay. Newer transducer control boards have these 2 extra jumpers on here. These 2 extra jumpers are to tell it if it's a left front or a right front. And it's very important that you set these 2 extra jumpers. A lot of people they take the old board out and it doesn't have the 2 extra jumpers. So they just set the 4 and then they don't set these other 2. And you just turned a $50,000 aligner into, that was not it, into a non-working paperweight because the sensors don't know where they go, okay? That is also in that 20-page document that I gave you from the lab. That was meticulously put together by a gentleman named Pete Brandt. If you have trouble with 700 sensors, the very first thing you need to do is dig up that 20-page document that you got and read it, and then read it a second time, because it is invaluable. Okay. Yeah, because we don't keep. Once we go to a new revision, we actually pull stock. We pull all our old stock from HSC, so you can't get an older revision board anymore, which is nice. Yeah, because then the other one's like S13, S14. You probably have an older board. Yeah, but you got a 1229. Yeah, so there would be 2 more jumpers right where that white connector is, but you have an older one. So yeah, this is positioning.
How could you tell which revision it was?
Nope, other side. Right there, what is that, a G?
Yeah.
Right. But that's the wrong part number to be a G. Well, it can be a G, but it's the old board that had been through 7 revisions already, and now we have a new board that's been through 6 revisions already. Ah, there goes the coffee. Ah, that's gonna be sticky. Oh no, get a rag, man.
They are now.
Well, that's on me. He's trying to record me, so I feel bad. Good morning. Good morning. Fantastic. How are you, sir? Here's a wet wipe. Here's some dry wipes. Yeah, you can put them back. Toe boards. Toe boards. We have 2 different types of toe boards. So make sure when you order a toe board, if you have a deeper one, make sure you have a deeper one. If you have a thinner one, make sure you have a thinner one. Where's your toe board? In the machine already because you cheated, scum. Anyway. No. Oh, I needed to talk about this too. Right. I'm coming back. Stop. You're good. This is the block that's in the middle and the rears on a truck sensor. And if you've ever really just wanted to stare at just some fantastic CNC machining work, this is the block to just. It's just so satisfying. I do need to. Is this a car or is this a truck? Oh, this is a truck. Okay. One other thing I need to say while we're recording. Whose is this? This yours? Yours. Okay. Okay. The one last thing I need to say, and you guys, I guess you're starting already. That's okay. So here you go. You have your on-off switch. You have your charging indicator, and then you have the charging port. The problem is, for some reason, people are silly, and they see that little black hole back here, and then they plug the charging port into here. And what's behind here is the infrared receiver for the synchronization emitter. And then they take that guy and they bend them straight back. And because they bend them straight back, when they plug in the charging port, it has some resistance to it. So they think they're actually plugging it into the charging port, even though everything else is right here. And you would think if we grouped it together, that they would, but they put it, even though it's in, but it
Put the charging light right next to the charging port.
yeah, you know. So you're going to be replacing a lot of these because in front of the little infrared emitter is an ambient light filter because we don't want to see ambient light. We want to see infrared light. So there's this real dark piece. It's a real small piece of black material that once they put this in here, it's just you'll lose it forever. So you'll be replacing a lot of these because they'll call up and they'll go, hey, my sensors aren't communicating with each other. And that's because the synchro emitter, that you can't see it, right? It's just the silliest thing that I have no idea why people think that's the charging port. In 10 years now, and I can't understand why people plug it into there. It's like, what, you know. Anyway, people are silly, and they do silly things. All right, everyone needs to catch up to Jaden because he's been cheating since 8:05 this morning. Yeah.
I ain't moving it any faster.
You are, sir. You've made a lot of
I'm
progress.
stuck right now, so I did not get too risky.